Hi everyone, welcome back. And today I'm here with you for another topic which is on procrastination. And sorry about my coarse voice, I am down with cold and I don't know, I hope that it's not COVID, but it just recently started. So let's see how it goes. So we'll be talking about procrastination and I'll be explaining you what does procrastination mean, or if you are somebody who is struggling with procrastination, how you can, get out of this habit. And I can assure you that many people, all of us, in fact all of us, suffered from procrastination in some areas of our lives. It could be work, or it could be your family, or any other task which you have been not able to do and you have been postponing it. So procrastination by definition is the act of postponing any task which you find overwhelming. So you might be thinking, why do we procrastinate, and what can we do about it? So procrastination by definition, now there's a new definition for procrastination that is given by a psychologist, Niel A Fiore, who says that it's a coping mechanism to cope up uh, from anxiety. That anxiety happens because we are planning to start some work, or maybe we are trying to finish a big task. So that is that anxiety, and it's natural, everybody feels that anxiety. But what happens with some people, when the task is too big, or sometimes when the task is boring, we procrastinate a lot. And it happens sometimes that a lot of time goes by and we are not able to finish the task. And I think many procrastinators, and even I also procrastinate. So we are not lazy people. It's not like that we don't want to do the task. We are just, do not find enough motivation. So you can imagine this is almost opposite of motivation. If you have a motivation, you will finish the task. But in procrastination, what happens? You do not find that motivation to finish or start any task, which is important, obviously important for you. So yeah, we all procrastinate, like I said, and in this video I'll be telling you about how to identify those areas, and how can you work on those things to stop this habit, because this is not a good habit to have. And most of the procrastinators, they do finish their task at the end, obviously, because they have to. But they do it when the deadline arrives, and when there is nothing else they can do about it, and it causes a lot of stress. And sometimes it can have serious consequences. So we should not really procrastinate. It is not a good habit. So I'll tell you about procrastination now. So I do have my notes with me, and there is a definition that is given for procrastination. It can be explained by a simple formula, and this formula is, it goes by: procrastination is equals to expectancy multiplied by value divided by impulsiveness and delay. Don't worry, I'll explain all of these to you. So you can imagine that procrastination is directly proportional to the expectancy. um, so expectancy in any task means how confident you are to be able to finish some task. So imagine if you are given a new task which is like a big project to you, and it's your expectancy that decides your motivation. So whether you feel that you are confident enough to finish the task or not, it is going to have a direct effect on your procrastination, whether you're going to do that act or not, where you're going to procrastinate the task. So expectancy is really important. So I'll be taking few examples to explain all these components that goes in this equation of procrastination. Okay, so secondly, I told you it's also expectancy multiplied by value. So value is also very important, that value defines our priorities. So what kind of value we attach to certain tasks. So you might feel that this task is important for me, and obviously if a task is important, you have to do it at the right time. You cannot really procrastinate, because this is going to have serious implications if you do that. So this we have figured it out. But we also have reverse irreverse sorry we also have inverse proportion here that says impulsiveness and delay. So your procrastination is directly um, indirectly proportional to your impulsiveness. What do we mean by this? Imagine if you have given a task, and if you are somebody who is very impulsive, and by impulsive I mean you're somebody who cannot stick to their plans. So you keep changing on your plan, you keep changing your plans based on the circumstances around you. So you are a very impulsive person. So imagine if you have saved all your money to invest into something, but you suddenly see something very fascinating, and it can be clothes, it can be something, and then you feel that I should buy it, and you know instead of investing your money, you buy that thing. So this is called impulsive behavior. And people who are impulsive, they tend to procrastinate a lot, because the more you are impulsive, the more you will procrastinate. Okay, so and then we also have a delay, and delay is another important component in the procrastination equation, because we tend to delay few tasks which are not required immediately. So imagine if you have an exam coming up in, let's say, 6 months, so you won't be thinking that I need to start studying from today. You'll think that you have more time, so you'll keep procrastinating studying for like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and it will go on, because by the time your deadline arrives, then you will do it like you always do. So this is also a very important factor, whether you have to deliver in a month, or where you have to you can wait for few months or maybe years. Okay, so we have discussed about these important components that goes in the procrastination equation, and now I'll tell you about how to minimize this procrastination habit, and how can we maximize our efforts. So first thing is a small task. So I'll take the expectancy component first. I told you that if you feel that you are not confident enough, not smart enough for a task, you will procrastinate it, right? You have taken the task on your head, but you are not able to deliver. So first thing is take small steps. It makes sense also, right? If you have a bigger task, you will feel that I'm not ready for it, I cannot complete this task in a month, given the how big the task is. But you can always break it down in smaller tasks, and you can always finish a chunk of that task in a day or a week. So this will actually, you will not focus on the quantity of work, but on the quality of your work. So one thing which happens with most of the procrastinators, and I also do it sometimes, that when we want to avoid something big and important, we tend to fill our days with smaller tasks, smaller meaningless tasks sometimes, just to make us believe that we are busy. That's why we are avoiding that task. So nobody actually in their right mind want to avoid important things, right? So you are not lazy. It just sometimes you procrastinate, and there is a reason behind it, because you have a fear of failure, or maybe you have higher expectations from yourself, you have low self-esteem, and you feel that you are not confident enough, you do not have the proper resources, you do not have proper time or training to finish that task. So in that case, the expectancy here is a problem, and you tend to do some very small things which can be put on hold for some time, but you are trying to only fill your day with smaller tasks, just to feel that you are busy. And when you are busy, you can give yourself excuse that I'm busy, that's why I'm not doing that big project or big task. So for that, always make small goals. Instead of doing those small meaningless tasks, you have to divide your big goal into small tasks which are still the component of your big goal, and then by that you can finish small task, and then you can later on eventually you will finish the bigger task, right? It's so easy. And second, we have I'm reading my notes. So we also have delay component. So now I'll be discussing the delay component, which is inversely proportional. Uh, uh, the more time you have before you can get the result of your work, or maybe you can get the reward of your work, based on that timeline you will decide whether you want to do your work or not. So when there is a lot of time given to you, let's say the deadline is in 6 months, so definitely we tend to procrastinate in those situations. So in this case also, when we think that we have a lot of time in our hands, we tend to do smaller tasks and smaller meaningless tasks which is not even related to the work, just to fill in the time. And we feel that we do have a lot of time. So instead of doing that, like I explained earlier, that you can break down the bigger task into smaller pieces, so you won't even feel that you have 6 months before your exam or before that big project's deadline. You can break down that big project into small projects, so now you have smaller deadlines. So let's say you only want to do a part of that project, and for that you give yourself only 6 days, so you have a smaller deadline. Now even the delay is reduced in this case, and you can now work and focus because you know your deadline. This is called making artificial deadlines. So now you have to finish your task because you don't have 6 months, you have 1 week to finish the smaller task of that bigger project. Okay, so now we covered expectancy and delay, and we have the third component, which is directly proportional is to procrastination, is value. How much value do you assign to that project? So it's again people, it's all about the priorities, that how important that task for you. If you feel that this task is going to add value to your life and this is really important for your growth or for your relationships, you have to you have to start doing those things, right? So most of the times when people are procrastinating, all the procrastinator, what they do, they have competing priorities, because nobody can in their right mind can delay something which is important for them, right? So what they do, they brought up excuses with competing priorities. For example, like they can combine two different areas. Let's say if you want to finish some project, but they'll combine some other priorities coming from the relationship, that this is also important for me, my relationship is important for me, and I also need to give this time. And what you are doing right now, you are actually using two competing priorities to procrastinate on the task which you do not want to do. It could be your work, it could be your family. So some people work extra so that they do not have to spend time to they don't have to spend time with their family, or some people do the opposite. So this happens, and what we have to also realize that we need to be sure about our priorities, first thing. And here we need a work-life balance. So I can give you one example. You cannot give whole your time to one task, and when you have competing priorities. But let's say if you have a deadline coming up, you can put your personal life on hold and finish the task first. Or when you have some pressing personal life issues, you can put your career or your work life on hold and give your time to the family life. So this is very important. What we do here is we take time out of one situation and put it in to give it to other, and that's how we manage two competing priorities. But you can't really exchange these two priorities for one another. It's not good, because then you are procrastinating, because both things are important, but you cannot do everything together. So we really try to do all this. We try to do everything together, and we feel that we can work everything out, which is not true, and it is very difficult. So always, based on the timeline you have with you, always work on your priorities and what is important, what is immediately important. Here time management is the key. You need to understand what will have consequences in a short time frame. So what can be put on hold? This is all about consequences and the time you have. And the last thing in the equation was impulsiveness. Again, it is inversely proportional to the procrastination habit. How impulsive you are. So this thing, why we procrastinate, is majorly because of the distraction around us. We want to work, we want to finish tasks, we even know that we can do the task, we have a higher expectancy, we know that this is an important task, we even add value to it, and then we have a very short deadline, let's say in a week. But what is happening here is we have a problem with impulsiveness, okay? So every time our phone buzzes, every time we get a notification from all the different social media accounts, or somebody calls up, we just pick the call and start talking to friends, start talking to all these people who are trying to get our attention. But this is going to rob you a lot of time, and then you are not able to make up to the deadline. That is obvious, right? But in this case, you have to be disciplined. Impulsiveness, yeah, it's natural, but it can be taken care of when you know that you are being impulsive here. And for me, I can give you a few tips that you can put your mobile phone or other devices on do not disturb. You can put your phone on airplane mode when you're trying to focus and do that particular task which is important at this point. And if you do not do it, you know that you are going to procrastinate, which is again a very bad thing, and then it will have serious consequences. And another thing is, you can use something called a Pomodoro technique, which I use for my study, and it's very important and it's easy because nobody wants to sit down for 5 hours, even if the task is very important. It's so hard to sit down for a longer time period and focus. And when you know that there are people who are texting you, when you know that you might be missing some calls. So in that case, you can always use a Pomodoro technique, in which you can set the time for 25 minutes. Generally it works like this: for 25 minutes you are not going to check your phone, and you're just going to work, and it breaks your time into smaller chunks. And you set the alarm, so after 25 minutes you will be given 10 minutes break, where you can check your social media, or you can do anything you want to do. So this is a very good technique to have focus and to work on the issues, and the work at the task at hand. And other thing which I like, that close every notification. I even like to sometimes put my phone on airplane, and sometimes I just switch off my phone, or do all these things, or just leave my phone somewhere else, so that I do not check it. Do not keep all these devices which can distract you near you while you're working. And the last thing which I like is, set a reward for yourself, like the way I was telling you about the Pomodoro technique. So set a reward for yourself every time you finished a smaller task. Let's say you do one set of Pomodoro, like you do 25 minutes of work, and now it's time for 10 minutes break. You can do something which you like, so you will always look forward for that 10 minutes break, and it will give you that motivation to keep on going and have more rounds of Pomodoros, and have more of such breaks, because then they have very cute notification in this app. It's available for Android as well as for iPhones. They give you these small trophies. It's very nice to see all those things, and this will give you a boost. And you can even treat yourself with some sweets. I know I always say don't take sugars and all, but sometimes it's alright. And when you're working on something important, and you are putting a lot of your efforts and mental energies to a task, you need that boost. So do something that will that makes you happy. So that's all about procrastination, and I mostly refer to the book called Now Habit Now. And I can leave the link in the description. You can tell me if you want to know about this. I like this area because I'm somebody sometimes who procrastinate like everybody. So I like to read about these things and how we can work out on these issues we have. And the next thing, if you like it, please like it, subscribe to it, and share it with your friends. Let me know in the comment section if you have any suggestion for me on this topic, or if you want me to do some other topics, any interesting motivational topic which you want me to do, or any science topic, like I always say that I would love to do. And I hope you like this one. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I have very less energy today, so please forgive me if I do not could not deliver it well. I'll practice and do it better next time. So bye bye.